One of the questions I was asked in this video series is, how do you navigate sexual relationships with Kundalini, and does it mean you can just do a standard approach to dating or finding a partner, or is something more required when you're going through awakening with Kundalini and you're seeking sexual relationship and partnership? I'm going to respond to this question. It's such a great question, and oh my God, we could talk about this for a whole weekend. It's rich and worthy of discussion. I'm going to just put a few thoughts and tips into this video. I'm going to speak about it more from the angle of seeking long-term relationship and partnership. A lot of what I'm going to say is you can definitely apply it to casual sexual encounters and relationships, but I want to respond to the sort of tone and the way the question was posed. One of the things to keep in mind when you're dating and looking for partnership and relationship of any kind that's intimate, is that you are now more of an energetically active being. You're an energetic process in a physical body, which means that relationships and sexuality and sexual exchange is going to be a part of your energetic world. Everything in your life is being purified. You're becoming refined, cleared out, cleansed, and profound energies are moving through your system and body. And that purification process continues for quite a long time until you're ready to sustain that final shift of Kundalini completion. Therefore, even sex is becoming sacred. Everything is becoming sacred in your life. Food, the way you live your life, the choices, the integrity you live it, the way you approach your spiritual inner world, it's all sacred. And so sexuality is exactly the same. And one of the big changes that happens when you go through a Kundalini awakening is that because you're becoming so energetically aware, because your sensory system is so refined to your internal nervous system and energetic experience, you're going to be very aware about sexual exchange. And one of the big things that happens in sexual intimacy is energy exchange. And so if you're seeking a partner or a relationship, while you're going through Kundalini awakening, it's really important to think not just about if you're attracted to that person, if you get along, if you have some shared interests, all those normal standard things, but you need to consider if that person is energetically aligned for you. Because when you have a sexual encounter, you're having a very strong sexual exchange of energy, of all energy. All of the energy of that person is coming into a relationship with all of the energy of you, and there's transference. And you want to make sure that that transference is good, which usually means that the person has some kind of clarity themselves. That doesn't mean they have to be going through a Kundalini awakening journey. You can have a really great relationship with someone who's not on the awakening path if they have some kind of groundedness, steadiness, maybe a kind of internal simplicity, meaning not overly complicated, because that might make it really hard for you. But usually I see that works really well if the other person is grounded and has a kind of inner clarity. That means that when you have sexual interaction with him, you're not getting this huge volume of unprocessed energy, emotion, trauma, and experience from their personal history channeling into your body. And that happens whether you're male or female. The other thing that is important is to make sure that that partnership is energetically aligned in terms of spending time together. It's not just you get that energy exchange in sexuality. You're going to have that energy exchange sitting in the car, eating dinner together, going to the movies, and it just needs to feel good and clean and supportive of your system, and not creating an additional burden that each time you have a sexual encounter, then you have to go away and you and your Kundalini have to kind of clear that out. That's going to be hard work for you and taxing, and you may struggle to kind of keep up with the demand, considering the fact that you already have a strong purification process in play. A lot of people think that when they're going through awakening, you can only have relationships with awakening people. That's not true. That can be amazing because you can share, you can have amazing conversations and spiritual intimacy and connectedness, and that is gorgeous. But it doesn't mean you have to overlook having relationships with people that are not on the path, because they can be incredibly loving, profoundly supportive, celebrate you, see your beauty, and appreciate you for what you're becoming without having to be on the path, because what you're becoming is visible to them. They see you, they appreciate you, they love and adore those things about you. So you don't have to be super closed in your lens. I see that create a lot of despair and hopelessness. Of course, some people feel that they can only be in a relationship with someone on the awakening path, and for them that's true. And that can especially be for people who have highly sensitized energetic systems. I love seeing my clients and students fall in love and start relationships while they're going through Kundalini. They get married, they have children. It's a joy to find a person, whether they're on the path of awakening or not, who is a beautiful match for you, has shared values, and can love and support you as you go through the awakening path. And so the important part that is there is that the person can make space for your awakening, that there can be space in your relationship for the demands of your awakening. That might mean sometimes you suddenly cancel on going to an event because your awakening is kicked through, or some energy is coming in and you just can't go out in public. You need to be in a relationship that can be spacious, and that the person is not getting critical or attacking you or feeling insecure because your awakening process has pulled you inward. It's also important that the person, most likely, if you're going through phases where you're still quite inward, is secure enough to allow you alone time, can let you hang out in your own space, go for long walks on your own, and be very supportive and understanding of that. And that sometimes Kundalini and awakening are hard on our bodies. We feel tired, we feel fatigued, big shifts are going on, and there's a kind of randomness in awakening. You can be really great and strong and out there, and suddenly you wake up in the middle of the night and you've got some shaking and a kriya in your heart, and Kundalini's active and something's processing, and you want to get out of bed and go downstairs and have a cup of tea and just look at the stars because you know you're not going back to sleep. And it's really important that your partner cannot take that personally and can give you the space and even be loving and supporting of you and make you breakfast in the morning because you know you haven't had any sleep, or let you go back to bed because then you can sleep. This kind of spaciousness and love and tenderness around your awakening process, whether they're on the path or not, is so important when you're seeking partnership during Kundalini awakening. And you can find tender, beautiful, intimate, sexually gracious and nourishing relationship. I've seen it happen. It brings me such joy to see it and witness that in people around me. And it can also be your path too. I also want to just do a shout out for those who, when they go through this path, don't want sexual intimacy. They don't want anyone coming into their energetic space. They don't want that sort of tantric exchange of energy. And if that's you, that is great. That's your path. There are many people that feel that while they're in quite significant phases of their Kundalini awakening journey, they just want to be alone. They don't want to be in partnership. It takes all the energy they have just to sort of take care of themselves and nurture and support themselves in certain phases. Or the other thing that can happen is that all of your sexual energy and sexual desire gets consumed in the fire of the process. It literally gets used as life force. It gets used for purification, for expansion. It gets redirected, and we see this of course in the paths of sannyasis and nuns and monks who live in sacred communities or live alone on themselves, and wandering sannyasis in India. That energy has been sublimated and utilized in other ways, and that may be happening to you, and you're like, whoa, relationship, intimacy and sex, having a libido, none of those things are on my radar at the moment, and that's also completely fine. So there's some of my thoughts and tips and reflections. Take a lot of care of yourself, make good choices, really check someone out, Take time. And also, I do want to share a really funny insight from one of my teachers many years ago, Gangaji. Must have been around 20 years ago. I was at one of her retreats and someone said to her that at her last retreat, they fell in love, and they wildly fell in love. And I never forget her answer. She said, falling in love on a retreat is like falling in love on heroin. And you have to wait until you come down from that big retreat high, from that big spiritual elevation and high, and you hit the earth again before you get married. And I love that answer. We can bond and bind with people in these enormous high states of frequency and expansion and elevation. And we have to wait until we fall back to the earth to really see if we're truly a good match, and to test those values and alignment and chemistry and tenderness and support and love and mutual care out in the real world. Happy exploring of sexuality and Kundalini, and feel free to leave any of your thoughts, comments and tips in the comments section below. Blessings to your sacred awakening and the way you share it deeply with yourself in an incredibly intimate way and with those that you love.